All right, let's turn real quickly to the deal to raise the debt ceiling with the full House set to vote on the bill later tonight. Let's bring in Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. He's a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus and has expressed serious reservations about the debt ceiling bill. So, Congressman, what are they?
Nika, if I could just say, as a graduate of University of Chicago and Yale, son of Indian immigrants who told you to work hard and took out a lot of loans, it's really, I think Joe's point is right. Look, let's celebrate education in this country. Don't be dishonest about your past. The problem isn't with DeSantis or others having gone to Harvard. The problem is that they're disparaging the institutions that gave them the opportunity, and it's the phoniness that people hate. On to the debt.
Absolutely.
Onto the debt ceiling, though. Look, I think the Republicans took this president hostage. This president did the absolute best he could under the circumstance. The deal could have been much worse. But there are many Democrats who do not want to reward the Republicans running roughshod over the Constitution. Hakeem Jeffries has said that we will provide enough votes so that the deal passes and it does not default. But some of us are going to vote no on principle. We don't believe that you should be taking away food assistance from the most vulnerable when we have an affordability crisis, that you should be hurting people who are student loan borrowers. And we know that there are options, as Larry Summers has said, Paul Krugman has said, where the president can pay the debts that Congress has authorized him to pay, and that this should never happen again.
Yeah, so, Congressman, so you've said that the president did the best he could do under the circumstances. I've heard some people come on here and say he should have never negotiated. That wasn't really an option because, well, unfortunately, Democrats in New York State and in other states don't know how to redistrict in a way that passes constitutional muster. And so Democrats lost the House. So our very system requires these negotiations. So, again, I just want to circle back and have you underline that fact again. Joe Biden had no choice. He had to negotiate. And this is, you say, the best deal he could have gotten. Why do you say that?
Well, look, the deal is much better than 10 years ago. I mean, it could have been much worse. It could have been 10 years of spending freezes. It was only 2 years. He managed to get some of the veterans' homelessness, some of the food assistance. That was something that he negotiated, and he held back against drastic cuts. Now, I believe that there are options, especially in the future, as the president has said, where we shouldn't have this debt ceiling. We shouldn't have Republicans holding the country hostage. But the blame should not be on Joe Biden. The blame needs to be on the Republicans in Congress who are using an instrument that's riding roughshod over the Constitution. Look, if you want to cut spending and you want to raise defense spending, go win elections to do that and go through the regular process to do that. And if the American people believe in you, they'll elect you with those majorities. Don't say, I want my particular policy or others, otherwise I'm going to crash the world economy. I mean, progressives never do that. I'm for Medicare for all. I don't say I'm going to crash the world economy if you don't have Medicare for all. It's just not the way we govern in America.
Congressman, this is Jen Psaki. I wanted to ask you just about the Republican side here. You said you and a number of others will vote against this on principle. It seems like there are a number of Republicans who have been outspoken already about voting against this. What do you think Kevin McCarthy's future is here? I'm asking you, I guess, to put on your political hat here a little bit. Will he still be Speaker in a week or two?
Well, look, I think that they're going to get the 150 votes from Republicans. My sense is Kevin McCarthy will survive, but who knows? I mean, it would be not in the Republicans' interest to kick Kevin McCarthy out and have even more chaos on their caucus. I don't think they have anyone else who they would unify behind. But it's a caucus that's unpredictable. And when you've made so many concessions to people on the extreme wings, I don't think it's a sure thing that McCarthy will survive. I'd put the odds of him surviving, but I wouldn't underestimate the threats.
All right, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California, thank you very much. We'll be watching.